Before we start today's show, we'll tell you about the Oxford Exxon Highway 6 West in Oxford. Go in and get a lunch special, $4.99, 2 sides bread, 32-ounce drink. Stop by and get some ribs tonight, wet or dry. Remember the Stadium Cup from the pavilion. Take your cup into the Oxford Exxon. 49 cents to get that thing refilled as many times as you would like with a fountain drink there with Blue Sky and the Oxford Exxon. We're coming to you from the Clark Ford Studio, 662-257-1900, Highway 25 South there in Amory, Mississippi. Give Corey a call within business hours. You get a quote within 15 minutes. You can shop it around. You can take it. It's going to be the best deal. So when you come on back, start the paperwork. There toward the end of that, tell him about the podcast. This podcast and in the MPW Digital family of podcasts, $500 off with your vehicle there at Clark Ford. Now on to the show.
From the Clark Ford Studio in Oxford, Mississippi, MPW Digital proudly presents the Oxford Exxon Podcast.
I'd say thanks for tuning in, but why am I going to give you a round of applause for something that you're supposed to do, to be frank?
And now, here are your hosts, Chase Parham.
That broadcast school has really paid off.
And Neal McCready.
I deserve to be on TV.
Welcome to this Wednesday edition of the Oxford Exxon Podcast. Chase Parham, Neal McCready, Clark Ford Studio this morning, discussing Ole Miss's loss to LSU last night. The Tigers come into the pavilion, win by double digits. Pretty sloppy second half for the Rebels as they fall to 3-1 in the SEC, and now have a big one on Saturday against the Arkansas Razorbacks. We'll do injury report. We'll do kind of thoughts on last night. And looking ahead as we start today's show, Neil's mailbag is up on the site at rebelgrove.com. A lot of questions this week. Go check that out. Covers the gamut of all sorts of things. So all kind of things in the mailbag, brought to you by the Westin in Jackson. So we'll probably get to some of that a little bit as we just chat later in the day. Also, a reminder that I don't know what the schedule is tomorrow. We'll still probably fill you in on that later, but just before, in case I forget it toward the end of the show, let me remind you of that because of traveling and whatnot to tomorrow. You're even stuck with me for basketball this weekend, so it's kind of where we are as we get into this Wednesday morning. Neil, we were both at the game last night. I don't know what I'm watching most of the time in basketball. I admit that, but I kind of, at halftime, told a couple of people, because of how LSU played, Ole Miss kind of needed to be up by 8 or 10 at that point because LSU did not play very well in the first half. Frankly, Ole Miss didn't play well at any point of the game for the most part last night. And then in the second half, there was turnovers galore early. The lead went from 1 to 9, and that was kind of it.
Couple things.
Yep.
One, you could see this coming weeks ago on the schedule. Two, we got a lot of things. I'll just hit some highlights. I thought Ole Miss was a little too up. I've heard people say they were let down. I thought they were too up. I watched Blake Henson get introduced last night and just sky high like a football player.
They were erratic. They were out of control all night.
Yeah, and I don't think that's how you play basketball. And then we talked about that. I don't want to get into this debate, because there are people out there that they don't want this debate. They can't handle this debate. It goes against what they think their eyes are showing them, even though the metrics show them what I'm saying. This is not a good defensive team yet. Will be. It will be a great defensive program. It's not there yet. They have depended on offense. And last night, offensively, they were not efficient. They weren't good, and they weren't efficient.
No, at one point, they were 6 of 13 from the line, and I believe 14 of 40 from the field, if I have that right, at one point.
Well, they finished 9 of 17 from the free throw line.
Yeah, that was 6 of 13 at one point, under 50%.
I thought Will Wade had a great point about the free throw line. He said if you go back and look at Ole Miss's first 3 games, they've won them at the free throw line, meaning they haven't put the other team on the line, and they've gotten to the line. Last night, LSU 20 for 30 at the line. Ole Miss 9 for 17 at the line. Neither team shot the lights out from the free throw line, but that's an 11-point difference in a 14-point game. I just didn't think Ole Miss was efficient offensively. Way too much dribbling. LSU's length is made for that.
They say so much of it was just an inability because of LSU to get inside at all. So just so much settling. Kermit Davis said on the radio post game last night that Ole Miss played offense like an AAU team, and that's kind of what he meant.
Yeah, it's a good way of putting it. It was not an efficient offense. I thought they got intimidated at the rim. I thought 3 or 4 guys were soft at the rim, and they paid for it. And then on top of that, look, LSU's really good. LSU's really talented. And all the Will Wade just buys players and can't coach is bullshit. Okay? It's crap. Do they buy players? Everybody that gets good players buys players. If Ole Miss is ever going to get to the place where if Ole Miss fans want to get, they'll be buying players too. You got to have a plan, and they did. They had a really good plan. They got the ball in the post. You can look at Ole Miss defensively, and you can see that especially when they have to go to Stevens because of offense, that you can really, really get after him on the defensive end, and they did. They attacked him. Olenichik did okay. Thought he got a little tentative at times. Bigby Williams is a star. He's 6'11", 7 feet tall. He's athletic. He's long. He's a rim protector. He's very agile at the goal. He bothers shots. He blocked 5. God only knows how many he disrupted last night. LSU didn't get much out of Naz Reid last night, and they still win the game by 14. Waters was the best player on the floor. 20 points, 9 assists.
Yeah, he had the big step-back 3 there after Ole Miss had cut it to 6 late, where you thought, well, if there's a run in them, it's right now.
Right.
And he ended it when it went from 6 to 9 right
and he
there.
Takes a 28-foot shot and drains it. And if he misses that shot and Ole Miss goes down and scores, it gets interesting. But he didn't. He knocked it down, and that was it.
I don't want to bury the lead too much. Where are we at with Devontae Shuler? Because he was in a boot yesterday. He played last night, did not look like himself, and frankly – there's not much of a replacement for him, and Ole Miss's season probably hinges on him to some extent.
It does. This team has no margin for error. Certainly has no margin for error at point guard because it doesn't have another point guard. If you play Brean at the point, turnovers become a major problem, as they were last night. And B, you take him off the ball, and that's where he's most effective.
Yeah, it's a double blow when you do that.
Kermit talks about D.C. Davis getting minutes. That is what it is. This is where they miss Franco Miller, who hasn't played, isn't going to play. It becomes a real problem. I think you'd almost even have to look at running some – you'd have to really change what they're doing offensively. That's a lot to ask in the middle of January. Kermit implied that he thought he'd keep giving it a go. I thought it was interesting that – and maybe Terrence was speaking out of a lack of knowledge, and maybe Terrence just let it slip. But Terrence Davis used the word stress fracture. And if it's a stress fracture, he's not going to be able to do much in practice, and at some point this thing's just going to hamper him to the point where he either has to stop and take a month off, or it's just going to really limit him as a player.
Yeah, Ole Miss, the baseball team's had a lot of stress fractures there for a couple of years, and just seeing it on kind of a similar schedule, you can't, unless you take complete time off, you're resting it, and that's the only way to get it even sort of healed, and B, your cardio suffers because you can't practice and do anything in the week, so all of a sudden you start getting gassed, you start losing minutes in addition to being ineffective too.
Yeah, it's the big concern. The concern last night was not losing to an LSU team that, quite frankly, isn't going to lose much. That loss isn't going to hurt Ole Miss.
They were very impressive.
If you're worried about tournament stuff, that loss is not going to hurt you.
They're really good, and they were a horrific matchup for Ole Miss.
And they played super hard. This is what happens. What happens when people say, well, they got all this hype. Yeah, they got the hype, and LSU paid attention to them. Will Wade was able to tell them, hey, these guys just beat Auburn. These guys just went to Mississippi State and won. These guys are going to have a sold-out crowd. It's going to be crazy. They just got ranked, and they're going to be ready to kick your ass.
Also, as much as any assistant I've seen in the last 10 years, they had Bill Armstrong on the bench.
Yeah, who had a great scout. He knows these kids.
He was quite fired up throughout the game.
Sure, ought to be. Bill was part of a program that got absolutely undermined by a chancellor. I mean, say what you want, whether Andy deserved to go. And there's no doubt, listen, before anybody gets started on this, it was time. Andy made bad evaluations. It cost him his job. He'll be the first to tell you. I'm not saying that Andy Kennedy should still be the coach at Ole Miss, and if you start that crap with me on the message board, I will fight back, because I'm not saying that. But Bill Armstrong was part of a staff that got undermined by a chancellor. Bill Armstrong left Andy Kennedy and Ole Miss before he wanted to because of what Jeffrey Vitter did. And just because it kind of worked out at the end doesn't make the process right. It was a cowardly thing that Vitter did. Bottom line. And Bill was pissed, and I know a lot of the background on that, and I don't really blame him. They lost recruits to this. Your program lost recruits to that stuff. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It is what it is. The Schuler thing is an issue going forward. It's something to watch. But here's the thing, and I wrote this last night. And we talked about it yesterday before the game. The key this week was get one. Need to beat Arkansas Saturday. And they'll have their hands full because Arkansas, with Gabbert, has a big who is very athletic, can really affect games near the basket. Offensively, defensively, it's going to be a challenge. Arkansas got beat last night. I think it was in Knoxville. Everyone's going to get beat in Knoxville. Arkansas is hungry for a win. They need a win. Ole Miss needs to win that game, and if it does, it goes to Tuscaloosa on Tuesday night with kind of a chance to steal this game back. Alabama's not playing well. Alabama's not particularly good. They're gettable. Ole Miss could go to Tuscaloosa and win on Tuesday night, and if they did, they'd be 5-1 in the league, and all would be well. I wrote this in my column. If you were thinking this was a team that was going to go undefeated, well, good Lord. And if you're thinking this is a team that's going to win the SEC, that's on you. This is a team that if the goal is to make the NCAA tournament, the number that you're looking for is 11. You're looking for the number 11.
8 more.
You need 11 SEC wins, and you'll probably get in. That loss last night's not going to hurt you.
Yeah, Tennessee last night in Knoxville beats Arkansas 106-87. For that one, Arkansas falls to 10-6 overall. They are 80 in the net as of this morning.
Not playing well on defense.
The other thing Ole Miss gets, too, and this isn't just about Schuler, it's about the team in general. I thought, they were erratic. I thought they were tired last night. I thought the Saturday, Tuesday got to them a little bit with such a thin team. If anything, I know Arkansas gets it too, but I think getting that extra day to Saturday probably helps the Rebels a little bit as they get their feet back under them a little bit, because the legs looked tired last night. There just wasn't a whole lot there at times, it seemed like.
Well, they're asking a lot of minutes out of a lot of guys. I mean, Brean goes for 36 last night. Terrence goes for 35. Blake Henson's a freshman, played 29 minutes. You're riding the freshman roller coaster a little right now. He's going to be a really good player. On the other side, Buffin, who did not play well in Starkville, played really well last night. Had 13 points and 5 rebounds and 3 steals in 19 minutes.
Ooh,
that's really
good.
Solid.
Yeah.
The 2 freshmen are really going to be good. They just didn't get – I thought TD had a great game. I thought TD was terrific. They just didn't get much out of Brean, really, and they got nothing out of Schuler, who was he made that 3 in the first half, and I thought his shoe had come off because he went down and messed with his foot, and now knowing what I know, it flared on him, and it probably was in pain the rest of the night because I didn't think Devontae played anything like Devontae normally plays, and Kermit brought it up right away because it was going to get asked, is Schuler okay? Because he clearly wasn't okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I had something. One thing here. I mean, just kind of in passing. This is something TD typically has not done very well, and a lot of the minutes were kind of inconsequential. He played almost 10 minutes with 4 fouls last night. Kind of down the stretch, gutted it out without getting that 5th. I thought was kind of interesting.
Yeah,
nothing else.
I've talked to a couple of people with some NBA connections, and it's pretty interesting. TD's on the radar. He's this guy that's going to have to go. Probably play in the G League, continue to advance as a defender, but he's really gotten better. And I think NBA people have noticed, basketball people have noticed how much he has embraced Kermit's coaching. He's a great kid. He's an exceptional athlete. His shot's gotten better. His shot selection has to continue to improve. But he's become a better defender. And if he could ever lock in and focus primarily on the defensive end, he's athletic enough to play some. There's a lot of ifs there. But got a chance. Not a big chance, but a chance. Kermit's been good for him, and the way that he has embraced Kermit has really helped him a lot, because I think people have noticed that he's super coachable, has a great attitude, is a wonderful kid, and he'll get some opportunities. Worst case for him, he's going to go to Europe, and with that kind of personality he has and his smile and stuff, he'll make money playing basketball for years to come. I thought he was really good last night. I thought he was fearless going at the rim. But after the game, it was kind of – and the video's up at rebelgrove.com. He was talking about Big B. Williams, and he goes, how many rebounds that guy get? And he looked and he went, 10. Yeah, he's good. You know, it's kind of like that. And that guy was everywhere. He was really good. You can't evaluate this game without going back to this. That is a really talented LSU team that hasn't lost since December, that isn't losing much, and if they get the right draw in a tournament, they could go deep, because that point guard is a difference maker, man. When Waters got going last night, night, and then they have people on that team, Skylar Mays, for example, just gets a very quiet 14 points. Marlon Taylor's athletic as hell, gets just this kind of quiet 12 points. They're good. And then they bring kids like Days off the bench and Williams off the bench, and they get minutes out of guys. Like, that's the thing. They get combined 27 minutes out of two guys that combined to score 6 points. No one even notices them. They only went 8 deep. Only played 8 guys. But they're able to play a lot of people a lot of minutes. The biggest minutes were Mays played 34 minutes. They're able to really give rest to guys. Like Waters played 29 minutes. So he's able to really go full tilt when he's out there for those 29 minutes.
Continue in 1 second. First, tell you about scripted jewelry. Go to the website, see all the different options they have for the gift for the significant other in your life. Put your script on a piece of jewelry, handwriting, all these different things, fingerprints, whatever you'd like. They will hook you up. Items are handcrafted to order. The turnaround times are very, very good. You even see what some recent customers have bought as well to give you ideas. You just got to go to see it for yourself. And when you're checking out, use the code REBELS10, REBELS10, to get 10% off with scriptedjewelry.com.
The podcast is also brought to you by Oxford University Bank, OUB, locally owned and operated right here in Oxford. When you deposit money at OUB, that money and the vast majority of the bank's profits go right back into the Oxford community. OUB gives you the comfort of home, all the benefits the big mega banks provide, all the technology and products you want, all with the personal touch. You also get Kasasa. It's the absolute best cash checking account. With Kasasa, OUB will pay customers 2.5% interest on their balances up to $50,000. And with Kasasa, ATM fees nationwide are refunded. OUB also offers online bill pay and mobile check deposit using its online app. To learn more about OUB, check out liveoxfordbankoxford.com or call 662-234-6668. OUB is FDIC insured. Podcast also brought to you by Harry Alexander. Harry's an Oxford-based RE/MAX legacy realty agent. Been in Oxford more than 4 decades. No one knows the residential and condo market in Oxford better than Harry. Go to his site. He'll prove it to you. HarryAlexander.com. Click on the Properties and Neighborhoods tab, filter through by what you're looking for, and then send him an email. It's ha@harryalexander.com. Also brought to you by Grenada Nissan. If you're in the market for a Nissan vehicle, Grenada Nissan's the place to go. They have a complete selection of new and previously owned Nissan vehicles. Great lease deals as well. Go in, tell Gene and Sandy that you heard about Grenada Nissan on the podcast. You heard about Grenada Nissan on rebelgrove.com, and you'll get Rebel savings on top of the already great deals at Grenada Nissan. It's GrenadaNissanUSA.com. And the podcast brought to you by John Edwards of Regency Travel Incorporated in Memphis. Here's what you do. Whatever trip you got planned, you're thinking about, Maybe you're going to the beach this summer. Maybe you're going on a cruise. Maybe you're going to Scotland or Ireland for that golf trip you've been talking about for a long time. Maybe you're going to Napa or Europe on an anniversary trip, whatever it may be. Call John. Give him some parameters. Give him a budget. Let him know what you want to do, and let him do the work. He'll come up with options that you would not come up with on your own because you don't have access to Virtuoso, and he does. It's a worldwide network of travel partners that allows John to supply his clients with added values, unique benefits that are simply not available to other travelers. 901-494-3387 or send him an email at jedwards@regencytravel.net. First-time clients can save $50 off their first book trip just by telling John you heard about Regency Travel on the podcast.
Podcast is brought to you by Community Mortgage, Oxford, Memphis, Soto County, and Chattanooga. Underwriting and processing is done in Memphis. You're getting local underwriting that understands your market, a leader in condo financing, and the float-down option, which allows you to lock in the current rate. But if rates go down before you close, you get the lower rate. 662-234-2704 or JLOW, that's JLOWE at communitymtg.com. Just got to put a bow on basketball a little bit last night. Let's see, I had it up. The other scores: Mississippi State beats Florida, and a close one. I think Witherspoon hit a shot at the buzzer. Is that right, Neil? Do I have that correct?
Yeah. Kendary Witherspoon hit a shot with like 3.5 to go to give them a 3-point lead. Florida had a shot at the buzzer, and it didn't fall.
Yeah, we've already said Tennessee by 19 in Knoxville. Mississippi State 71-68 over Florida in Starkville. And then the Kentucky Wildcats go on the road and hammer the Georgia Bulldogs by 20 in Athens at Stegman last night.
Yeah, that's if you're looking for 11, that's one. The game at Stegman is one that you got to get. There's a handful of games that are becoming must-win games if you're trying to get to 11, and that's one.
Athens and Columbia are two road games you really need to get.
Really need to get those two. The one in Athens is one you got to get because they're not good.
They're bad?
They're bad. They're getting hammered by good teams.
Being that close to Georgia, Atlanta, having resources, why does that program suck?
I have no idea.
Because it's always bad.
It makes no sense on the surface. The only thing I can think of is that the Atlanta kids don't want to go play in Athens. There's lots of other opportunities for them.
Maybe so. Other games tonight, we mentioned this yesterday, just a refresher. Alabama at Missouri tonight, Auburn at A&M, and then South Carolina at Vanderbilt. One the Commodores desperately need in Nashville tonight.
I guess the kids that grow up, and there's a lot of Atlanta's a transient community. I would think there's a lot of people that are there that don't necessarily have ties or don't feel some degree of loyalty or whatnot to the state of Georgia. I'm guessing.
Yeah.
It's so easy to recruit Atlanta, too, because you can fly right in, hop in a cab or an Uber or rent a car and get all over.
It's a lot big circumference around it for you to come in and get things done.
It's easy to recruit Atlanta, and everyone does.
Yeah. This is not breaking news. The pavilion's been there 2.5 years or whatever. Last night was the first time I've been there as just a spectator, just kind of sitting in the stands. Really pleasant environment. It's nice. It's all good. There was really nothing from a spectator standpoint that I went, yeah, that's kind of weird, or this is whatever. It feels like it hits all the levels that it should, frankly.
Ole Miss did a great job with the pavilion. Did a great job. Really, I don't think they missed anything. It's a great environment.
Everybody's mad about camera angles, but I'm talking about being in the arena.
You have to put there.
Yeah.
You're at the game. I thought it was I thought the atmosphere was great.
Yeah, it was good.
It was full. It was loud. I saw
it was not a dead environment by any means last night.
No,
it was fine.
The fans tried hard up until Waters hit the 3, and then it was kind of like, it's probably time to go home.
That was mass exodus.
Yeah, it was a big time shot. But no, I thought it was, if you're a recruit, and that's what's important. Couple things, in my opinion. If you're a recruit, that's fun. You now know, hey, if we get it going, they'll be there. And then for a student, I've told Campbell this. Basketball games are the most fun. Basketball games are much more fun to attend than a football game on average. 2 hours. It's indoors. Temperature controlled.
Much closer to the action.
Much closer to the action. It's much easier to get in and out of the building. I mean, you don't know what you're going to get with football. You might get 100 degrees in the sun. You might get 22 degrees freezing your ass off. Sometimes you get perfect weather. The games, especially the college game, I'm not making fun. I'm being honest. The college game might be there. It might last 4 hours. There's an expectation to get dressed up and all that stuff. No one expects that in basketball. So, I mean, I thought Ole Miss's students were great. The kids aren't even in school yet, I don't think.
No, they're not.
I thought they had a great turnout for the student section.
Class comes back next Tuesday.
So, I thought that was a great sign. People are buying in. People are supporting them. Kermit talked about that after the game. There's a lot of positives last night. Everything's not – the sky did not fall last night. You just played a good team. And they played well, and you got beat. You did not play well. They did, and they won.
Not overly complicated.
No. I mean, and look, had Ole Miss played really – here's the good news for Ole Miss. And I wrote this last night. With all the things that went wrong, and there were a litany of them, with 4.5 minutes left, you were only down 6 points. That's a real positive there. You can, and Kermit will, I'm sure he will. You can show the kids that and go, we can beat anyone outside of Tennessee in this league. You got to play well. You have to be efficient offensively.
It's a credit to what Kermit's done at this point, because as I was watching the second half last night, I thought that this is what the team, everybody kind of thought they were going to look like this season. You know what I mean?
Sure.
That second half is kind of what your expectation was going in based off last season and most of the guys being back and just kind of being what it was.
They had a handful of possessions in a row in the second half where they turned the basketball over.
Yeah.
And they were sloppy with the ball. Again, this team doesn't have the physical tools to be defensively what they will eventually be. Look at the kids they're bringing in compared to the kids they have. They're recruiting longer kids. So they're dependent on offensive efficiency. And when they're efficient offensively, they're pretty good. And when they're not, they're not. Offense is going to be the story of this team. As much as there's a segment of the fan base that is so hung up on the way that they think they look defensively because of the effort they're playing with on defense, they still have a lot of breakdowns defensively. And they're not good defensively in the post.
Kind of turn the page a little bit. I find this interesting, if nothing else. Doing baseball, doing kind of their previews of their top 25 teams right now. Ole Miss number 10 in that poll that we mentioned a couple days ago. And they got a projected lineup in their preview today. And look, this is not their guesses. I mean, little insider thing. Coaches told them the lineup that they thought would probably be the case. Not surprised by anything on the mound. A little surprised by one spot, but again, it's early. This is just a projection. They haven't even suited up for the spring yet, but I'll run through it a little quick because I found it interesting. So Cooper Johnson behind the plate. We know that. Cole Zabowski at first. Anthony Servideo and Greg Kessinger in the middle infield. Tyler Keenan at third base. Thomas Dillard in left. Olenek in center. And then Carl Gendel, who had the big summer. Kind of curious what he looks like. He would definitely help Ole Miss defensively if he could play. And then they've got Chase Cockrell at DH. I think Tim Elko ends up with that spot before it's over, but that's where that is. And then on the mound, Etheridge, Roth, and Hoglund, your 3 weekend starters. Etheridge is going to be the guy. I've been pretty high on Roth. I think Mike likes his mentality. I think he wants kind of some experience and stability in that role. And then it's kind of hard to keep the first-round pick from some sort of major role in his first season if he's playing well. So that is where that is. Also, just run it through with you real quick. They grade every portion of every team in the top 25 on a 20 to 80 scouting scale. Basically a 50s average relative to an NCAA tournament team. 55 above average, 60 above average plus, 70 plus, and then obviously 80s like Hall of Fame from a major league standpoint if you were doing grading scales. Have Ole Miss as a hitting is a 70, so very, very good offensively. Power is a 70. Speed is a 60. Defense is a 65. Starting pitching is a 55 because there's so many unknowns. Nobody's really sure what that's going to look like. Bullpen a 65. Intangibles and experience 55 for Ole Miss. So everything above average for the Rebels per D1 baseball going into the season. So just a little rundown there. Not much, but thought that it was fairly interesting. We'll start that here in a couple weeks. I think the first practice is January 25th from a team standpoint. That's a Friday, and then we'll go from there. So,
basically, the expectation is make a super regional.
that is correct, yes. Anything from there is gravy. Just got to get back to super regional. And that's an expectation that needs to be met this time, frankly. It is what it is. Everybody was kind of wondering about Rodriguez, following some guys on Twitter. Tate Martell is transferring to Miami, the former Ohio State quarterback. I see that a minute ago.
Yeah.
Just throwing that out there.
No, I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing at the Twitter following thing where people do it all over the place. They do it in every genre of sports media. It very typically means nothing.
Just following dudes.
Bryce Harper does it to troll people, and it's awesome.
You really think that's what he's doing?
Absolutely.
Do you?
Absolutely.
Has he picked the Phillies yet?
Not yet, but I think it's going to happen probably pretty soon.
What's Machado doing? White Sox?
It's my guess. I think the Phillies are playing some games with the two of them to try to get somebody to jump. The two agents hate each other, so they both want to get more money than the other guy. I think Machado's going to be hard-pressed to get more money than Harper.
What conundrum? Just got a text here, and this person probably listening. I mean, this has nothing to do with the invitation because I really, really, really like these people. My wife just texted me and said we had an invite to go somewhere for the Super Bowl. She goes, "Do you want to go?" Do I need a week before I make that decision or not? Like, do I
need to see what happens
So
Sunday.
I want to pin myself into a Super Bowl party at this point.
If your team
there is a certain celebration factor to the Super Bowl, even if your team's in it.
If your team makes the Super Bowl, do you really want to be someplace where people are coming up to you asking about Ole Miss baseball? I mean, do you really? It'd be the last thing I'd want to do.
So you'd want to close yourself off in a room again?
Yeah. I didn't want to watch Game 7 of the World Series with people.
If they're not in it, it's easier just to go and chill.
Sure, because you don't give a damn.
Yeah.
If it's Rams-Chiefs, not particularly interested.
And you're probably not overly pissed off. They're in the NFC title game. The season is a success.
Yeah. But, I mean, if the Rams kick a field goal and the 10 seconds left to beat the Saints on Sunday, you're not going to be ready to invest emotionally into a football game. So you can go to the Super Bowl party and drink and whatever. But if the Saints are in the Super Bowl, are you really going to want to be around a bunch of other people?
I was in 2009, and I did not get nervous until late in the game. The first half was sort of, hey, I'm happy to be here, new money. We're just kind of hanging out. And then about midway through the third quarter, I became kind of unpleasant, if I remember correctly, from that season.
But now, I'm not a social person like that. So, like me standing at a Super Bowl party with a bunch of people that I don't know,
well,
I can't even.
You would know them in this instance.
Yeah, but they're going to come up to you and asking you Ole Miss stuff. Every one of them. And so you have to decide whether that's something. If I were you, I'd go to a Super Bowl pre-party, and then I'd leave. Game's not going to start till 5:30.
Yeah, it's like, whatever, 5:18, 5:22, whatever it is. Leave at halftime.
And that's that deal where she says, well, I want to go. Well, have at it.
Yeah, I don't know what, if they win the game, I'm not really sure what my mindset's going to be for these 2 weeks leading up to it.
It's the Super Bowl. Your team's in the Super Bowl for the second time.
Yeah.
Your quarterback is 40 years old.
As of this week.
I mean, realistically.
Windows shutting.
Realistically, you have at most one more shot with this group. I mean, it's realistic. 42-year-old Drew Brees is probably not quarterbacking the Saints to the Super Bowl. If he does, awesome. Good for him. He's a great guy. But history and Father Time says that's not the case. The Teddy Bridgewater era might not be that far away. So I would think you're wanting to savor every last sip of that drink. Because the odds are when it's gone, you're going back to the house bourbon for a little while.
You don't expect the window to continue?
Like I told you, I think the window has maybe one more year in it.
No, I meant Pat post-Breeze.
I mean, yeah, eventually, but you'll have to go get somebody. I mean, he's a Hall of Fame historical.
Unless you find the Patrick Mahomes and just fall into a situation.
But I mean, it's hard to bank on that. So no, if it were me and I were in your shoes, the last thing I would want to do is be at a party where I'm having to socialize.
And you're probably the wrong person to ask too, but it just came up. And,
well, I don't have enough friends to do something like that. Most people don't like me when I am in social settings.
Headphones at Super Bowl party.
I just wouldn't.
It'd probably give off a weird signal, wouldn't it?
I haven't been to a Super Bowl party. Let's see, we've lived here 11 years. I've never been to one here.
Yeah, in 2009, I went to a party for the NFC title game and the Super Bowl, and hosted the Super Bowl one, and that one was even worse because you're just stuck around people without really a way out of that one.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that.
The NFC title game, it was all Saints fans, so if nothing else, you're mourning or celebrating together, and it's a little different vibe.
The last several Super Bowls, and it'll be this way this year too. Caroline's got a dance competition, so like Laura won't even be in town.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it'll just be me and Carson, and I don't know what Campbell will be, but she's not watching the Super Bowl. If you put a gun to her head right now and said 4 teams are left in the NFL, name one. I wouldn't think.
Not one?
I wouldn't think.
Probably fair. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not nervous about Sunday at this point. I don't know. I have a weird, just kind of whatever about Sunday as of right now. It'll hit later, but as of right now, it's kind of whatever.
Sheldon Mickles about it, longtime Saints writer, now covers LSU in Baton Rouge. I think he thought the Saints would probably win. A little concerned about the loss of the defensive
Sheldon Rankins
tackle.
being out's a big deal.
Yeah, that's what he said. He said that was a big deal because he thought Rankins had a Pro Bowl-type season.
The Rams are so physical. The run game and up front. You're going to have to really score to win.
It could come down to both. It's going to come down to quarterback play. Who's better, Breeze or Goff, on that particular day? Breeze has been there. Goff hasn't. For what that's worth.
If anything.
If anything. Saints have to get to him, disrupt him, get him off his game. When the two teams played the first time, it was a back-and-forth game for most of it, and I think it'll be a back-and-forth game this time too. The crowd will be a factor for the Saints. L.A. will have to be really focused, really locked in offensively just because of the noise. Sage Rosenfels wrote a column a few days after that Saints-Vikings NFC Championship game years ago that got republished, and he talked about the crowd noise and how it impacted the Vikings. He talked about how after the game, Brett Favre told him that he was having to scream in the huddle and then scream even louder at the line of scrimmage, and that by the end of
time, it's wearing you out.
And by the end of that game, that's a mental thing. If you've ever just screamed for 3 hours, you know that at the end of that, you don't feel all that great.
Looks like the Falcons are the only team that have jumped into the pettiness on Twitter to this point, jumping behind the Rams as the week plays out. Also got a little government stuff going on. You see this from NOLA.com. Let's see, how did it start? The mayor of Atlanta, answering questions yesterday during a news conference, says, let's see, she was asked, do you have a preference for the Super Bowl? And she goes, as long as it's not the Saints, I'm happy. Anybody other than the Saints, I know there's going to be a bounty on my head for saying that. So she takes multiple shots there.
Here's the thing. When you say stuff like that and then they make it, you've still got to go do all your civic stuff next week. And the week after that. That's not smart. It might be cute politically, but you're hosting the Super Bowl. You got to get above the Falcons-Saints rivalry, in my opinion.
New Orleans City Councilman Jay Banks, attending the council's Public Works Committee meeting Tuesday morning, learned about the quote and then said this, I'm disappointed she felt that way, but we're still coming, and it's not our fault her team sucks. I mean, if they could win, they wouldn't have that problem.
It's fair.
So that's where this thing is as we As we get into to Wednesday morning here.
I mean, they didn't schedule this deal in October. You knew for a while. Be better.
I don't know. For some reason, I kind of enjoy all the just pettiness back and forth and different things. I don't know. It entertains me, if nothing else. So.
Well, the Saints have embraced the evil empire thing a little bit, as we've talked about.
It's really weird. It's a little strange.
It's just, I don't really.
Peyton is highly unlikable.
He is.
We've been there.
But Breeze is very difficult to not like.
That's a good point, too.
I mean, like it's easy to dislike Tom Brady. He's perfect and he knows it. And he shoves it in your face and he's really weird. And Drew Brees is a great dude.
Yeah, nationally, the Chiefs and the Rams are much more likable than the Saints and the Patriots.
Yeah. The Rams are, it's been a long time.
Yeah. Nobody overly whatever. I mean, Marcus Peters is kind of whatever, but you're not going to stake anything on a cornerback.
Who's got the game? NBC?
I don't even know.
Whoever's got it, I want Chiefs and somebody. I don't want the Patriots again. That story is so old. Like, if you told me it was Patriots and somebody, I don't know. I mean, I'll watch. It's the Super Bowl. I don't know how interested I really am. If you tell me it's Chiefs and Saints or Chiefs and Rams, I'm actually kind of intrigued. And if you don't care and you're not at a party, the Super Bowl can be a hard watch because the game lasts so long.
Halftime's forever.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, you're getting on pretty late by the time that trophy's raised at some point.
It's 9-something.
Yeah, it's a 4-hour game at least.
So I'm sure that I have found that for whatever reason, I'll give myself this, I am more mainstream with stuff like that than I give myself credit for. If I'm that way, there are a lot of people that way that have Patriot fatigue. Chiefs, Rams, Chiefs, Saints, I'm interested. If you tell me it's like Rams, Patriots, I get a little interested in Saints, Patriots because I'm a Louisiana boy and I have a lot of friends from home who are diehard Saints fans and have been forever. And so when the Saints play in these games, I watch them kind of cheer for the Saints for those people.
Dylan and I have not decided how we're handling Sunday yet. We typically will text throughout all the games, but I'm not sure that's the case on Sunday afternoon. So we'll figure that out as time goes on. I know we're not watching together, but again, he's a little more invested than I am. For whatever
You're not
reason.
trash talking. If the Saints were to win 35-14,
no.
You're not trash talking him, and
No.
he's not trash talking you.
I told you he doesn't believe me. As much as any possibility with the Saints in this situation, especially considering the window, I'll be happy for him. I really don't think I'll be that traumatized should the Saints lose on Sunday. I'm kind of whatever about it to this point. I want to win, but it's all right. It'll be all right.
The way I am in games like this, if my team's not going to win, I want them to get beat. Well,
yeah, going in either way, I don't want to lose on some last-second field goal or pass interference or something like that.
Get me beat by 10-14 where I go, you know what, they were better than us that day.
Yeah, somebody turns it over a couple times in the first half. It's 24-3 at halftime, and we go on about our day with a 38-20 game.
Tip your hat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Podcast brought to you in part by Master Cuts Lawn and Landscape, 662-607-7773. Time to get those contracts signed for 2019. Yard's going to need to be cut before you know it. They can handle all that from edging, weed eating, mowing, and much more. Landscaping, pine straw in your flower beds, whatever you need. Master Cuts can take care of you. Again, that is info@gomastercuts.com or 662-607-7773.
Remind me to show you something in a second. You'll probably see it. The podcast also brought to you by the Westin Jackson. My mailbag is up. It's sponsored by the Westin Jackson. Yeah. Gather at
Serenity now.
Gather at Estelle Wine Bar and Bistro for a creative craft cocktail or enjoy their curated wine list. It's open for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and Sunday brunch. They put out a photo yesterday of their ribeye. Looked fantastic. Chef Caden's mission is to connect guests with the community through local partnerships. Gather at Estelle tonight. I've had several meals there and haven't had anything resembling a bad one. It's fantastic. The Westin Jackson. Let's see. Ole Miss baseball season tickets right around the corner. Baseball season right around the corner. Season tickets on sale now. You can get those starting at just $150 to purchase. Go to OleMissTix.com. The Ole Miss women's hoops team back in action on Sunday, 3 p.m. against the Florida Gators. It's a powder blue out. Tickets can be purchased by visiting OleMissTix.com. The Ole Miss men's tennis team kicks off their home slate with the doubleheader versus North Alabama beginning at 2 p.m. on Saturday. Admission is free. Learn more at OleMissSports.com. And as we mentioned earlier, the men's hoops team back in action on Saturday at noon against the Arkansas Razorbacks. The first 1,000 fans will receive a free Fins Up t-shirt. Limited tickets remain and can be purchased by visiting OleMissTix.com. On Tuesday, January the 29th, Pinnacle Trust will be hosting their annual economic forecast in Jackson, Mississippi at the Country Club of Jackson. Doors open at 5. You can join the Pinnacle team for cocktails, appetizers at 5 o'clock. The program will get started at 6. It will end promptly at 7. Goldman Sachs economist John Tousley will be highlighting the current state of global economy and financial markets. The Pinnacle investment team will cover topics ranging from geopolitical risk to tariff negotiations and the impact on markets, as well as the Federal Reserve. For those unable to attend, the event will be recorded and made available on the Pinnacle Trust website, pintrust.com, P-I-N-N trust.com. For reservations, email assistant@pintrust.com or call the office at 601-957-0323. We'll have a soft verbal podcast presented by Dead Soxy out later today. We recorded it yesterday. Russell and I did. You really need to experience the difference a quality sock makes. It's the first step in dressing for the job you want, not the job you have. So go to deadsoxy.com, enter the code Rebel Grove at checkout to receive 25% off all orders, including sale items. So Rebel Grove at checkout for 25% off all orders. Happy New Year from Dead Soxy.
Podcast also brought to you by Visit Oxford. See the full calendar events for Oxford at visitoxfordms.com. Also, Pop-Up Oxford coming January 19th through 27th, the third annual Pop-Up Oxford. Remember, you got Ole Miss basketball, Ole Miss women's basketball, community reading, songwriters competitions. You even got a polar bear party I see now on the thing. All kind of stuff going on. Hotel hop, MLK Day service day, movies at the Belfry, book signings, Bitter and Bites, the cocktail class and tasting, and much more with Pop-Up Oxford. See the full calendar events at visitoxfordms.com/pop-up-oxford. I'm so off train of thought right now. And I'm sorry.
Yep.
All right, hold on. Let's see. Where were we? What were we talking about?
I don't
Super Bowl
remember.
stuff. We were talking Saints, Patriots stuff. I don't know. Whatever. Yeah. Crap. I'm like.
Oh, it was high comedy.
So, Dylan asked me this yesterday, and this is just kind of a non sequitur of anything. How many Americans know the Australian Open is going on right now? What percentage?
Well, not this percentage.
You didn't know it was going on?
I had no clue.
Less than 10?
Well, I mean, look.
Okay, casual sports fan versus overall population.
I hate to make this about me, but I follow sports for a living. Generally like tennis. Had no idea. If I didn't know, the casual sports fan sure as hell didn't know.
Did you know that Andy Murray was retiring?
I happened to see where he was having a press conference, and he got emotional before the press conference started, left, and came back. Otherwise, I would not have even known he was hurt.
Yeah, he said that he would like to finish at Wimbledon, is not sure his body is going to allow that. He got beat in the first round of the Australian Open, and it felt like that was it, that he's done.
I stumbled across that on Twitter.
You know, this story obviously in the tennis world gets tons of talk. I don't know that it really gets its due the way it should. Jeffrey brought this up yesterday. That we're in 2019, and the top three favorites at the Australian Open are Federer, Nadal, and Djokovic. In 2019. Tennis, typically a sport where guys are gone in their 20s, late 20s, definitely by their early 30s. We've had the same three dudes for over a decade now. And no one else is really even challenging them.
Is that because they're just historically great, or is it because young people are doing other things?
Probably a little of both. I mean, they are historically great. I mean, I'm not going to criticize somebody for not overtaking Federer because he's not human.
Right.
But, I mean, Nadal's been banged up. However, in saying that, unlike Andy Murray, Nadal's body, as much heck as he puts it through, has at least sustained enough for him to be in this position. And Djokovic kind of got serious about his probably 5-7 years ago, where he became a different player after he did a lot of things fitness-wise and nutrition-wise to kind of up his game and get in there with the other ones. But, I mean, Murray's out now, and I don't know what that next group looks like. There's I mean, somebody like Bennett Hill would be able to answer this a lot better than me, but there feels like a void once this does pass, whenever that time is for tennis. It might be a major problem, frankly. But now, for whatever reason, it also seems like...
If you asked me to name a tennis player outside of the ones that you just named, I'm not sure I could do it.
Well, especially on the women's side, had a really hard time recognizing... I looked at the top 10 seeds on the women's side and had a hard time with some of them. I couldn't have picked them out of a lineup for sure.
I'm not sure if you asked me to name a women's tennis player not named Williams.
Really?
That I could do it.
You wouldn't even get to, like, Vandeweghe or Sloane Stephens or some of those people? Maria Sharapova, obviously.
I would know Sharapova because she's fun to look at. I would know Vandeweghe because of her dad. That's about it, man. And you'd have to prompt me with those names.
Really?
Yeah. I just think the way we consume sports has changed to a point that almost everything is niche now.
The top 10 seeds for the Women's Australian Open: Serena Williams, Simona Halep.
Never heard of her.
Muguruza. No idea.
Nope.
Radwanska.
Heard of her. But if you'd put a gun to my head, I wouldn't have had a recall on her.
Sharapova.
Yep.
Petra Kvitova.
Nope.
I would think you would know that if you saw it, but
nope.
Angelique Kerber.
Nope.
Venus Williams. Carolina Pliskova. And then Carla Suarez Navarro were the top 10 seeds.
Nope.
Going down, Azarenka is 14th. Madison Keys is 15th, an American. Wozniacki 16th. We've obviously talked about her plenty on this podcast, more in previous renditions of the show. Helena Yankovic is still there. You might know her. Anna Ivankovic is still there. Sloane Stephens. Samantha Stozier, maybe?
No, sir.
Sabine Lisicky?
Nope.
Okay. That's about all I got.
I mean, literally, if you told me name men, I'd go Federer. I would have said Andy Murray. I would know Rafa Nadal, Djokovic. About it.
I mean, I could name a lot of men's tennis players if you just told me to start naming men's tennis players.
But you're more than a casual fan.
Probably. Not as much as I used to be.
Right.
But because I've become so golf obsessed that it's kind of taken that place. But, yeah, I think that's... I don't know why this matters.
I've watched less sports in the last year than maybe any other year of my life. Just don't have time. Like, people have asked me, like, why do you like English Premier League? I think it's just the time. It's 2 hours. It's a 2 hour investment.
Mostly in the morning.
Yeah. I can do it while I'm on the Peloton. Game starts at 10, it's over at noon. Game starts at 9, it's over at 11.
Men's seeds, just for anybody curious, top 10. The 10 seed is Karen it's a Russian that I don't know. John Isner's 9th.
Okay.
Nishikori, the Japanese guy's 8th. I would have known him.
Okay.
Dominic Thiem from Austria 7. No clue. Marin Cilic at 6. I would know him, the Croatian. Kevin Anderson's 5 from South Africa. I would have known him. And then Alexander, I don't know how to pronounce it. In print, I've seen his name. He's from Germany, but I don't know. And then Djokovic, Nadal, Federer are 1, 2, 3 on the men's side. So.
Djokovic is the world number 1?
I don't know. It's a good question. He's number 1 seed. So now he's really good on hard courts, obviously. So I don't know if that's playing a role in this. But I didn't think we'd be talking a lot of tennis today. But Here
never
we are.
know.
No, you definitely never know. No, the two things though, the Australian Open and then usually I'm pretty locked into kind of like Golden Globes, Oscar stuff. Couldn't tell you a thing about a movie right now. Nothing.
I want to see The Mule, and I want to see Vice. That's the extent of my movie conversation.
I mean, nothing.
I'd like to go see those movies. It's hard for me to find time to go to a movie.
The odds of you seeing those movies?
At the theater?
Yeah.
Less than 10%.
Okay.
Here, like when Laura's gone or something, on demand, decent.
Yeah, that's fair.
Decent. Well, I don't know what it says about me that I have time to watch The Bachelor, but I don't have time to watch a movie.
Well, there's probably some truth there now.
It's probably not the best reflection. The Bachelor is high comedy for me. I enjoy it thoroughly.
When are we getting J-Dub's girlfriend on to talk Bachelor?
I'd like to do that soon.
I don't know that he would like to do that soon.
I would enjoy it.
We can get them both on at the same time.
That has a recipe for total disaster, but
Too many cooks in the kitchen at that point.
I think he would be trying to control all the ingredients.
Do you?
Yeah. I think she should have free reign in the damn kitchen.
Did you watch this week?
Yeah.
Did you?
Mm-hmm.
Crazy One's still there?
Oh, yeah, of course.
It's still too early to get rid of her?
Oh, my God.
Weeks too early.
Yeah, she's going a long way.
She's not guaranteed the home visit, is she?
No, but she's going to get real close to that. She's going to get somewhere where she can disrupt it. Got to keep in mind
she's not guaranteed the fantasy
so
suite.
here's one of the things. The fantasy suite's going to be different for this, okay? Because this guy is a virgin. His virginity is a major former NFL player.
Who is it?
Colton something.
Who do you play for?
He was on a couple of practice squads.
All right, fine. Where do you go to college?
I don't remember.
Okay. Glad you're our Bachelor expert here, by the way.
Yeah, it's that part. His football stuff is like immaterial, but his virginity is already a major storyline. And as we get further down the road on these dates, where it stands to reason that physical things would happen,
Do you believe it?
I mean, not really.
I'm asking a question. I haven't seen him. I wouldn't be able to pick him out of a lineup. I have no clue.
It's difficult for me to believe, but okay. But regardless, it's part of the storyline, and they all talk about it all the damn time. Like he'll get in these one-on-ones, and the girl will go, "Why are you a virgin?" And he'll come up with this answer about how it's become part of him, and it was not like part of some plan, but now it's become a valued thing, and blah 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 blah.
Okay.
Regardless, when they get down to fantasy suite time, is my man going to go from 26 years of nothing to 4 nights of, oh, yeah.
Is it 4? It's 3, right?
Because
4 is the home visits, and then 3 is the fantasy suite.
three
and
fantasy
then 2
suites.
is the other home visits.
Is he going to sleep with all 3 of the people on the fantasy suite, and are we going to talk about it? Because I suspect that we're going to have some degree of conversation about him losing his virginity if that occurs on this show. And so they got to keep the couple of the freak shows around. Like one of the women that's in it now is Miss Alabama. And as we get to see it, and
not like Miss America, Miss Alabama.
Yes, Miss America.
Oh, not like Miss Teen USA or one of those. Not the Donald Trump one.
Former Miss Alabama, and there's a former Miss North Carolina that competed against each other in the same pageant.
Well, that wasn't rigged at all.
Of course, it's rigged. That's why it's great. They don't like each other, and it's fantastic. And they're both still in it. And then they have the psychopath. It's going to be great.
Yeah, she's a psychopath?
No, there's another one who's nuts.
Oh.
She's nuts. It's going to be great.
Bill Simmons had a producer from The Bachelor on one time and said the average number of intimate encounters was 3.8 per season. Different females.
Yeah.
Said about 3.8 they had
That's
figured
kind
out
of my
was
point. But most of those guys that are on there.
Well, yeah. This is not the same
This is a different. They've added this in. The reason he's in is because he's willing. He either is a virgin or he's willing to say on national television at the age of 26 that he is a virgin. And so that gives them a new thing to talk about. So when he says, will you accept this rose, he kind of means a little something more than just the little flower. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
there's a joke there somewhere.
Yeah, is he going to be, who, not only who gets the rose and who gets the ring, but who gets his virginity? That's all part of the show here.
Which is just adding power for these psychopaths.
Well, of course. That's his great drama.
Okay. Do you already know the girl that's going to be the next Bachelorette that's on the show probably, that's going to be the kind-hearted soul that's not going to win?
But I've got 3 or 4 candidates in mind. Yeah. There are some leaders in that clubhouse.
The one that all the girls are going to like, and let's pull for her, but she's probably going to come up short.
My theory.
Yeah. Because the psychopath can't be the Bachelorette.
No.
You got to be likable.
And you got to get hurt.
Oh, okay.
So my theory is this is going to be too much temptation for my boy. And the one that he loses his virginity to is going to be the one that was convinced, for the show, air quotes, that she was the love of his life and that this was more than just a one-night stand. This meant something. And then he picks somebody different, and
I think we're going to do a long con here.
Yeah, and she's devastated in the car and all that stuff about how she gave him something that she. And there's also a girl on there who's kind of attractive. Well, she's really attractive, and she's claiming that she's never even kissed a boy. And so that's part of this little deal too. So is he going to take that away from her and then send her on her way? There's a lot there.
My boy Chris Harrison's still doing this?
Oh, yeah.
Is he?
And I love it. It's my favorite. The only part of the show where I don't let anybody else talk is when, in the rose ceremony, when they get down to one final rose, and he comes out, and he says, Colton, ladies, this is the final rose of the evening. Love that.
That's your favorite part?
And then when he comes in after
that cat's got a net worth of like $20 million by just doing this.
Fantastic. And then he comes back in after and he goes, ladies, if you did not receive a rose this evening,
please say your goodbyes.
Please say your goodbyes.
Yeah. He's that crying shoulder. I mean, he's the sports system.
And then he always tells you it's the most dramatic rose ceremony ever. Yeah. And it's always just like every other rose ceremony, but by God, when Chris Harrison tells me that this one is the most dramatic one ever, I at least give it a chance.
Okay. We'll move on for The Bachelor in 1 second. First, I'll tell you about G&M in Oxford. I was in there yesterday. Don't waste your time with the big chains. Go somewhere you're appreciated. G&M Pharmacy is locally owned and operated, and they care about their customers. Been Oxford's trusted hometown pharmacy for over 40 years. Many great services such as MedSync, immunizations, free delivery to your home or workplace. Located right there off South Lamar Boulevard in Oxford. Transfer your medications is simple. Just give them a call at 662-236-2222, and they'll take care of the rest.
Home 2 Suites Oxford is going to be making their football reservations available at the end of this month. So be following them on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook, on Snapchat, on whatever social media outlet that you prefer. It's conveniently located just a mile from campus, right off the Old Taylor Road exit. They're offering a 20% discounted rate the entire week of Pop-Up Oxford, which starts, Saturday,
January
Friday.
19th through 27th.
Today's the 16th?
It is.
So, yeah, there you go. So if you're coming in for the Arkansas game, coming in for the Iowa State game, be a great place to stay there at Home 2 Suites. You can bring your pet with you. It's a pet-friendly hotel. They have a designated area for walks, complete with the pet station for your convenience. So follow them on social media. Don't miss the big announcement for when football weekend reservations are open. And also, if you're coming up for baseball, it's an ideal location for those coming to Oxford to cheer on the Rebel baseball and softball teams this spring. Home 2 Suites, Oxford. Guests join us throughout the week on the Patterson and Earhart hotline. Patterson and Earhart, attorneys at law. They are specialized in personal injury law and real estate law, but theirs is a general practice that can handle any of your legal needs. When you contact Patterson and Earhart, you speak to one of the partners in the firm that will handle your case, not some paralegal at a faceless corporate firm. If Patterson and Earhart can't help you, they'll refer you to someone who can. John Calvin Patterson and Wes Earhart are Ole Miss guys. They're local guys. And when you call them, you're going to get one of them on the phone within the same day, guaranteed. So whether you've been injured in a car wreck or have other legal issues, give them a call, 662-526-1992, or check out their website, pelaws.com. Your initial consultation is free.
Ole Miss debuting some powder blue pinstripe uniforms that I kind of like. See this?
I'm surprised at how much I like that.
You like it? It is a powder blue jersey. It has navy kind of over the top of the shoulders.
Now, is that going to replace the other powder blue, or are they just going to start going to a lot of powder blue?
Well, this is softball.
Oh, I thought that was
This is
baseball.
softball. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. That would be a decent baseball uniform.
Yeah.
It's got the script M, just the M on it. Navy hat, red script M on the hat as well, and then the socks are navy with a large red stripe and 2 small powder stripes. Pretty good.
No, it's good.
I like them.
Yeah.
You get a lot of powder. Getting a lot of powder.
More and more.
Is the basketball team wearing powder?
One time.
One time?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, it was because it's kind of
And they had just the
kind of
M.
fluorescent.
And they had just the M in the middle, and I thought it would look better with the entire Ole Miss.
That's
across.
it looked kind of practice jersey-ish.
A little bit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. Last night is the suit I like the least of theirs. And they wear it a good bit.
What did they wear last night?
It was gray, wasn't it?
Did they wear the gray?
Yeah, they had gray on. last
Yeah,
night.
I don't like the gray.
Pretty sure they had gray on last night.
Isn't that funny? Let's see.
Yeah, it was gray.
I swear I covered the game. I actually stayed up in the area till like 3 minutes left.
Did you?
More than other people can say.
I saw the 2 LSU guys with the very short shorts on last night.
Yeah, they wore gray.
There was one, and there was another one that kind of did it too. And here's my question. Were they safety pinned? Were they tucked into some sort of like jock support system? What was keeping the guys' shorts up under, like tucked under on the 2 LSU guys?
I did not inspect it. I don't.
Well, I did not. I didn't think you had gotten very close, but I was just kind of curious if you had an opinion there.
I don't know. It's a good question.
Because
Maybe
he kind of had to like tug at them a couple times and put them back in place.
maybe they sort of had them specifically tailored for that.
Well, no, they weren't tailored. That was the problem. He kept having to mess with them.
You paid more attention to his shorts than I did.
Well, I mean, I wasn't having to write or anything. I was
That's
just
okay.
hanging out.
I was actually kind of preparing what I was going to write. My experience has been you go to the game, you go to your seat, you watch the game, you make notes, you write a story. Others don't use the same approach.
I need you to ask somebody about that if you can. I'd like an answer on how he got his shorts that short.
Okay.
If you're really, really in shape, I kind of like the short look. It looks a little more streamlined.
Yeah, I mean, if you have a body that some of those guys have, I mean, you want to wear as little as possible, right?
It's your whole thing about not ever wearing a shirt if you look like DK Metcalf.
Yeah, I wouldn't need a shirt.
No shirt.
Why would I wear a shirt?
Grocery store, no shirt.
I mean, what would be the point?
And if you had to wear a shirt on, like the tank top, just something to, like the stores that go, hey, no shirt, no shoes, no service.
Yeah, I'd say, okay, well, here's the thinnest, tightest T-shirt known to man. There you go. Check this out.
You'd hate winter when you got to put layers on.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Maybe that's why you like the cold so much, is you get to bundle up and layer after layer after layer after layer.
Yeah, I think when you're, yeah. Well, the other thing with the cold is that there's more excuse to wear a hat.
Okay.
So you cover up the fluorescent bald dome.
Okay, fair enough. All right. What do we have coming up? Let's see. We will have Jeffrey tomorrow or Friday or whatever we're doing. I don't know. We'll figure that out. Have not really made a decision there yet. We're doing a show Friday, right? Sure.
Yeah, sure.
Is that correct?
Sure.
Well, I didn't know your complete schedule.
No, I can get up and do a show Friday.
Okay. When is the convention?
Starts Friday evening.
Okay.
We're going tomorrow because Carson saves his money over the course of the year. He's now done this 3 years. He saves his
Soccer
money
cleats.
and he buys expensive, really nice soccer cleats.
That's right.
And he takes great care of them. And this is 2 years in a row that he has worn the same pair of soccer cleats for an entire year, and they've held up incredibly well. And when you buy the cheap ones, they do not hold up incredibly well. When they get wet or whatever.
What name brand are they?
He typically buys Nike.
Does it really?
Yeah.
Lines have not moved much. If you're curious, the Saints remain a 3.5-point favorite over the Rams on Sunday. The over-under is 57. And in the other game, it is Kansas City by 3, with the over-under falling a little bit to 55. So 57, 55, and then 3.5 and 3 for those two games this weekend.
You want to hear a funny?
Sure.
So you know how the weather people name every storm?
Yeah.
There's a winter storm that's headed through the Midwest this weekend.
Yeah.
Would you like to guess what it's named?
Bryce.
Harper.
Close enough.
So Harper isn't. I haven't decided whether I want to do this to Carson.
It's trolling, right?
It's funny.
Because you could have called it Henry or Hank or anything else.
I kind of want to say to Carson, hey, Harper is indeed coming to Chicago Friday night.
Don't do that to the kid.
Well, he made fun of Tottenham when they lost the other day.
But you don't care.
I don't care at all. 3 or 4 people hit me up with Tottenham stuff, and I was like, yeah, I mean, I watched.
Fair enough.
Tottenham's best player got hurt.
Did they?
Yep.
Hate that.
Yep.
Losing sleep. All right, back sometime this week, rebelgrove.com, the content from last night, Neil's mailbag. I'm going to do some baseball today. I've kind of put that off, but I'm going to do it today. That will be up at rebelgrove.com, recruiting from Russell, and we'll talk to you soon.